Every morning you wake up and your brain already is starting a narrative. This narrative answers some fundamental questions. Who am I? Where am I? Why I'm here? And where I'm supposed to go? And also circulates certain problems and questions and past difficult memories in your brain. And it is a storytelling that you automatically wrote for yourself for a very, very long time. You don't choose to write it. It just accumulates over the time. From when you were a kid, when you see how your parents believe about money, education, and society. When you go to school, the teachers tell you what you should do and what you're not supposed to do, and what you're good at and what you're not good at. Or when a time that you wanted to try something new but you fail. So over the time, the brain gathered enough evidence to create this narrative. Sometimes these narratives can be great, but a lot of times they are kind of negative and limiting. The narrative could sound like, hey, I need to go to a fine college, right? And after graduation, I need to find a 9-to-5 job. And I need to get along well with my colleagues and get promoted. And then I need to find a partner, if not earning more than me, but at least like earning as much as me or as ambitious as me, or he or she needs to have this and that. And I need to start a family before 30 or 35 or, certain age. And I cannot backpack the world anymore because, that is not responsible. I am not 21 anymore. I cannot do whatever that I want. Or the narrative could sound like, I am not a creative person. I cannot do this because I am lack of this ability. I'm not going to be good at sports, or it's very hard for me to lose weight. We keep on playing this narrative in our head. It's like every morning we automatically already set the mold in our brain, so we enter this reality with certain limitations. And we are complying with this reality. You kind of constrain your life in this preset mode that you set for yourself, and then you ask yourself why nothing changes, why nothing happens for me. Because you already limit yourself in this narrative. So you choose to live in this reality that going to a good college, getting a good corporate job is non-negotiable. Even if you want to try something new, but you're doomed in this reality because why you're telling yourself that that's not possible. Spiritual teacher Ram Dass, in his teaching Here and Now, talks about a lot of our sufferings comes from the fact that we are living in a story that we told ourselves instead of living in the present moment. Our ego likes to tell a story about us, about our identity, so it can hold this identity together. I am this somebody, and I can do this, but I cannot do that. But who is this somebody that we think we are? And why we tell ourselves this story? These are the questions I think a lot of times we fail to examine, right? What if your reality can be changed, can be improved? if you let go of these limiting narrative. That there is a term in neuroscience called neuroplasticity. If we continue to tell ourselves we're not good at sports, in arts, or in certain areas, then our brain will receive that as a kind of like instruction. And the brain will start to train those areas and will start to strengthen that. Just like the muscle, if you don't exercise your muscle, it gets weaker. It's the same with the brain. When you keep sending signals like your limiting narrative to your brain, your neural pathwork will get weaker and weaker over the time. And in Buddhist philosophy, there's this concept called beginner's mindset. An expert mindset is a mind that thinks that it knows so much, it cannot change. But the beginner's mindset, because it's very curious, it thinks it doesn't know a lot, so there are a lot of possibilities to learn, to change, to improve. So your limiting narrative is the expert's mindset. You think you know that you cannot do. You think you know what is possible for you and what is not. If you keep telling yourself you're not good at speaking, you're not good at communicating, then your brain will start to find evidence to prove that. Because the brain wants to have a cohesive story to save energy. So it doesn't have to do actual work. And over time, your brain will start to accumulate evidence to make them seem more like a fact. So I thought by thinking to change the narrative was enough, but it is another mistake that I made. I was just thinking in my head, thinking I can do this and I can do that, but I wasn't actually doing it. And it's another comfortable trap that probably my brain fell into, is a lot of thinking but no actions. Neuroplasticity does not just happen through thinking, it's through the combination of thinking and action. It happens when you have a new narrative and it's backed by small, consistent actions. When you say, I am someone who is creative, and you go on and create some little art pieces or do some writing or do whatever that's creative, and you only even if you just do that an hour a day, over the time you are gathering this counter evidence against your limiting narrative. By using this mechanism, you are telling yourself that, hey, maybe those old narratives or limiting narratives, they are not true, and you can tap into a new reality, which is the reality that you are capable of doing something. We have all heard of the law of attraction and manifestation, but I think a lot of times when people talk about manifestation, they did not emphasize enough on how that actually works. I think the law of attraction is exactly when the attention and action operate together. Opportunities are always around us. Your brain are just not looking because you're just like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough, right? So why your brain would be looking for those opportunities that can actually make you a different person. Another thing is that the universe is there to help you, to guide you, but it is not there to do the work for you. So I think there are 3 things that you have to do in order to let go of this limiting belief and replace it with a new narrative. The first thing is that you have to hold a very strong positive narrative about yourself or about your reality and your life. And 2, you have to hold it consistently. I know there will be times that you feel exhausted and you start to talk negatively to yourself. So that's where the third thing come in, is to back that belief with small actions. It's a loop that you can do it again and again. Hold a belief, hold it consistently, and then back it up by actions. So right now you might not be good at the things you want to be good at because you are telling yourself so. You are living in this limiting reality with this limiting narrative. So let's change that narrative. Every day when you wake up, examine your thoughts, right? I know it's very hard to get rid of the thoughts the moment you wake up, when you say, oh, I am not going to achieve this or that. And then you ask yourself question, is that a limiting belief? Is that a limiting narrative? Can I change the narrative? Is that real, or is that a illusion? And you tell yourself, instead of I am ugly, I am poor, you said I am beautiful and healthy, and I am wealthy. You can do that just in your brain, or you can say it to the mirror. And you can say, I am beautiful, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I make wealth happen, and I love myself. Everything is possible for me. I am good at public speaking and elaborating my ideas. I am creative. I am good at sports. I can be a leader. I can achieve things. The world is my oyster. Even if in the beginning you don't believe the things you said, you're like, oh, what kind of crap am I saying to myself? You just have to say it again and again until your brain really take that as a signal and take that in and ingrain that in the brain system or in the brain neural pathway. And your brain, when it's running on autopilot, it will actually start to look for evidence that you are great, you are healthy, you are wealthy, and you can make things happen. So the more you say it and do things accordingly, you are training your brain to have these new narratives replacing the old ones. Okay? Good luck.